Well, thank you for joining us here today for 5 News. I'm Joe Ellison. Now we have a huge game tomorrow at Razorback Stadium. Some fans still looking for seats at this point. And as a fan, we all have a part to do. Now the Razorbacks have announced a red out for this weekend's matchup against Bama. All these spots here filled with fans. They want them to wear red. They're asking everyone who comes to wear red. The last red out was in 2012 against Bama. Kevin Traynor tells us this red out is meant not only to get the fans involved and excited, but also to bring fans together. They're expecting a packed stadium with over 75,000 fans on Saturday.
We've done a whiteout, we've done the striped red and white, and so a great opportunity really just to unify fans when wearing red. We understand Alabama's red also, so maybe they'll look like they blend in. But I'll tell you what doesn't blend in, that's our Razorback fans when they call the Hogs. They're passionate. So it's really just a cool way for everyone to unite behind this team. It's going to be a great game.
It is going to be a great game, and we're hoping for some great weather, too. Let's get a check of that weather with meteorologist Stephen Abshire. Hey, Stephen.
Hey, Joe. Yeah, I really don't think the weather could cooperate more than it will be tomorrow. It is going to be absolutely beautiful for game time tomorrow. We're going to be in the 70s pretty much all afternoon with sunny skies, dry conditions, light wind. It is going to be amazing, even if you're in the stadium or outside tailgating or just enjoying your Saturday. It's going to be beautiful. And today is also going to be beautiful. Taking a look at high temperatures for today, we're in the upper 70s to the 80s, 78 in Fayetteville, 80 in Fort Smith as we get later on into the afternoon hours. It's going to be a beautiful day, and this dry trend is going to continue. Looking at today's outlook as we move later on throughout the afternoon into the evening hours, it's going to be sunny as we get into the early afternoon, and then once we get into the later afternoon, it's just going to clear out a little bit. But we're going to be nice. It's going to cool off just a bit as we get into the 50s in the overnight hours. But I'm saying it's near perfect for today. And the River Valley is looking a similar story. It's going to be beautiful all day, maybe get into the 80s at times. But it's going to be nice, near perfect again. Light winds, no rain. A really, really nice day to start the weekend. And taking a look at what to expect for the rest of the weekend, we're going to be in the low 80s to mid 80s for the rest of this weekend. It's going to be the first day of October on Saturday, but it's going to feel very nice, not like fall, just beautiful 80s, all sunny skies, no rain, light wind, not much more you can ask for a weekend. But the one caveat to that forecast is we're still sitting at a high fire dangers for today. And really, it's going to stay that way as we move later on throughout the next few days because we haven't had any rain in terms of and precipitation at all in the last week or so, and that drought conditions that has been around all summer is going to continue for the next week into the first week of October. But we have active burn bans from anywhere south of Washington and Madison County in the River Valley and in eastern Oklahoma. So if you do have plans, you got to be careful for this weekend if you are having any sorts of fires or grilling. And it's not going to change as we move forward the next 6 to 7 days because we have no rain chances in the foreseeable future. So it looks like this drought and those fire conditions are going to persist. But taking a look at the 7-day forecast, as we move from today into the weekend, things are going to be warming up just a little bit as we approach next week, but sunny and dry, and really going to be a beautiful start to the week. And in the River Valley, it's a similar story. It's going to be cool today, cool tomorrow morning, but things are going to be heating up as we get later on into next week. And, you know, midweek, we might be back into the upper 80s, near 90s, but it's going to be sunny and dry. Now, back over to Joe with more of the headlines.
All right, thanks so much, Stephen. Well, your power energy bill is definitely going to go up this October. Why? Because SWEPCO filed an adjustment with the Arkansas Public Service Commission. You can expect an increase in your energy bill up to $12.05 more per month. And according to SWEPCO, energy costs will go up for businesses depending on its rate class and usage characteristics. And also here in our area, Fayetteville police have arrested a man accused of threatening to burn down St. James Baptist Church. According to a witness, the man asked if it was a, quote, black church and started a fire nearby. The Washington County prosecutor is now reviewing this case to see if it meets the criteria for a hate crime. Police identified the suspect as 27-year-old Dylan McDonald. Church employee Ashley Washington says she thought she saw a man on fire in their parking lot. Washington told police McDonald had a fire in a blanket, though, and said he was going to burn the church down as he approached the building with that burning blanket.
I'm saying, do you need help? How can I help? And he once more, he's like, this is the black church and I'm gonna burn this sucker down. And so at that point I was like, okay, I am kind of afraid now. Let me go ahead and keep driving.
Now, St. James has always had armed security on church grounds, but the pastor there says now there will be more security during the day. McDonald is being held at the Washington County Jail. His next court date is set for October 28th. Well, today marks day 3 of authorities searching Beaver Lake for evidence they say could be connected to the murder of 28-year-old Allison Castro. But she's been missing for nearly 2 weeks now. Fayetteville police say the search began near the Highway 12 boat ramp the day after her suspected killer was arrested for capital murder. The Benton County dive team stopped their search this week, and as far as we know, they haven't found anything. Their search was focused more near the River Cliff area, which is past the Highway 12 bridge. Fayetteville police tell us here at 5 News they have reason to believe there's evidence at the lake in the death investigation of Allison Castro. On Tuesday, her ex-boyfriend was arrested in connection with her disappearance and her murder. Now, the suspect we're talking about, this man here, Casey Jennings. He's charged with capital murder and remains in the Washington County Detention Center with no bond after a judge denied the request. His next court date is in October. Police still have not located Castro's body. Now let's get the latest on what's happening in Florida with Hurricane Ian. CBS News has confirmed at least 6 deaths in Florida are being blamed because of this hurricane. Rescue crews across the state continue working to save people who could be trapped in flooded homes. Take a look.
Near Fort Myers, search and rescue teams brought residents of Sanibel and Captiva to safety and scoured the barrier islands for signs of life.
So people that were surprised by how quickly the storm turned and ended up being trapped.
Hurricane Ian's massive storm surge ripped away large parts of the Sanibel Causeway, cutting off access by land. Across Florida, the destruction can be seen from the air for miles around. At the storm's peak, Naples Fire and Rescue had to break the window of this car to pull a woman to safety. Throughout much of the state, people are assessing their losses and counting their blessings.
I'm trying to be brave.
After Ian made landfall as a Category 4 hurricane Wednesday with sustained winds of 150 miles per hour, it tore apart this Fort Myers trailer park.
I literally watched my house disappear with everything in it.
In this Central Florida retirement community yesterday afternoon, airboats with rescue crews were a welcome sight.
I didn't realize they had a storm until they told me. I was asleep.
Here in Kissimmee near Orlando, the city has implemented a mandatory curfew from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. because of major flooding. In all, the county says Ian dropped more than a foot of rain.
We're going to do our best to build Florida back as quickly as possible, but we're not going to be leaving.
At FEMA headquarters in Washington, President Biden said as soon as conditions allow, he will visit Florida and Puerto Rico, which was ravaged by Hurricane Fiona just days ago. Cristian Benavides, CBS News, Kissimmee, Florida.
And back here at home, there was a lot that happened this week where you live. Now, to make sure you didn't miss anything, we're giving you a review of this week's top stories. First, Americans will cast their ballots in only a few weeks. New polls are shedding light on where the races stand right now, but they haven't been as accurate of a predictor in recent election cycles. Sarah Horbewitz has more on what's being done to make sure this year's poll data can be trusted.
Just almost treats politics these days like a sporting event. And so we kind of want to know who's ahead.
ULR political science professor Rebecca Glazier says election polls can show voters like Christina where their favorite candidates stand right now.
This election, I'm excited for the candidates running.
The numbers coming from a wide sample of likely voters.
A good poll will pick a sample of people that is the same proportion that the whole population has.
Pollster Terry Benham with Impact Management Group, a partner in recent Arkansas polls, says a lot of time and money goes into making sure those standings are reliable.
Reputable polling firms go out of their way to make sure that those questions aren't crafted in a way that's going to form a bias.
After surveying about 800 Arkansans with Talkin' Business earlier this month, their latest poll shows Sarah Huckabee Sanders leading Chris Jones, following our state's Republican trend.
Arkansas is a very red state. That's not going to change. But the purpose of the polling going on right now is to inform those decisions going into the election cycle.
And while Benham says the data can be a good guide, it's not a guarantee, something we saw in the 2016 presidential election.
I don't think those polls were off. This is kind of what the political environment looked like. What that doesn't factor in is turnout.
Glazier emphasizing that anything can happen over the next few months.
A poll that's taken today doesn't count for all the new people that are going to get registered.
Voters taking polls with a grain of salt, getting ready for Election Day.
I'm really excited to just make my vote count.
All right, the next story coming in at the top this week, an active shooter situation in Sherwood, Arkansas. On Wednesday, Arkansas State Police started their investigation into a deadly shooting at CHI St. Vincent's Hospital. It's just north of Little Rock. Officers say they arrived to find the body of the victim, 21-year-old Leighton Whitfield. He wasn't a patient of the hospital and was visiting someone there. Little Rock police arrested the suspected shooter, Raymond Lovett, at a gas station and say it was an isolated incident. Workers in the hospital also say what started as just another day quickly turned to panic when they were notified about the active shooter situation.
We had to have our hands up. We had to do it one by one. When I ran out, my mom, she was across the street. I was just looking for her. I was on the phone. I was very emotional. I was crying.
Now, hospital officials praised the courage of their healthcare workers, noting multiple surgeries were happening during this lockdown, which doctors were able to continue as police investigated. And the last story to review this week, inflation has affected the price of just about everything. Experts say the cost of heating a home is going to rise dramatically this winter. Now, we mentioned to you earlier how SWEPCO is announcing that they are raising their rates for customers about $12 more a month. And as Beth Germano tells us, the increase is reaching the entire country.
68-year-old Anne-Marie Taylor Aline lives on a fixed income and is already struggling with rising food and rent prices. Now she's learning her energy bill is going up 64% in November. The utility company says with fuel costs rising, it's forced to charge customers more.
A lot of things I have to sit back and think about, what I'm going to do in order to survive.
So for many Americans, the cost of home heating will become unaffordable this winter.
Mark Wolf is the executive director of the National Energy Assistance Directors Association, and in a new report predicts propane customers will pay 58% more than 2 years ago. Natural gas up 66%, and fuel oil could jump almost 75%.
What we're concerned about is that those prices could go higher if, in fact, it's a colder winter.
Wolf is asking Congress to approve billions of dollars in heating assistance for low-income families. Taylor Aline receives help with utility bills from a local nonprofit. Sharon Scott Chandler is the CEO.
We've seen a rise in support requests for food, for rental assistance, and obviously utility costs.
If you didn't have that assistance, how much more difficult would it be for you?
Very difficult.
But Taylor Aline says the assistance only goes so far, forcing her to find other savings.
So right now, I think I'd have to cut off my cable.
She also plans to use the lights sparingly and keep the thermostat low to help make ends meet. Beth Germano, CBS News, Boston.
All right, well, thank you for joining us here for the latest news and weather where you live. I'm Joe Ellison. I hope you have a great weekend.